Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm just doing a video. Not sure the order that my videos will be going up today, but what the fuck? Oh, just saw someone put a message on my thing. Anyways, so this is about the recent Politico article about the Biden administration and their attempt to curb disinformation about I'll use code words, Action Jackson Nation, which I actually took, honestly, the Big Johnson one, which is just one swift kick in the balls in your Johnson, It's using code words. That's why I did it. It was one swift kick in the balls. They said I couldn't have the kick if I had to. If I didn't get the kick in the balls, I couldn't go back to the office without wearing the magical fabric square, as Tarl Warwick has referred to it as. And I didn't want to do that. I just said, I might do a video about this on BitChute, why I decided to do it. Talking about the booster thing. I highly doubt I'm going to go along with that, just as a note, especially as things get more crazy with the case-demic and everything that may happen. I just don't want to. I just don't think, especially if the numbers, I don't know. I'm split on the whole thing, right? Now, as far as people that don't get the Action Jackson and don't attend that movie, I'm pretty supportive, Almost do like an Underground Railroad kind of thing for them if I had to, So they should do in other countries. Just a hint for people that are living in other countries watching this, and they can't leave their house for only a couple hours a week, like in Chile or whatever the hell's going on. So yeah, I did that ostensibly sort of pro-ish, Biden-ish video about earlier today about how I'm glad there's not a lot of new regulations. That said, or the regulation, there's no more lockdown. It seems like they're trying to not implement more lockdowns or more mandates, which is good, which is a positive thing, which makes me support in a certain way what they're doing as far as that goes. However, today I just watched a video on Breaking Points about how they're looking to combat misinformation on SMS text messages and pressuring SMS carriers to combat misinformation. I mean, I find it really problematic, to say the least, that the government wants to censor our conversations on text message. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what it's going to lead to. Who knows what they'll try to do? Like, if you send a message about that, I don't know what that's going to result in. Now, see, the problem is with a lot of these things is that there's talk about it, so people freak out and panic, and then it becomes a non-starter. Kind of like the passports thing really didn't catch on, and I've even seen articles like, there's every article about that is like, it's not catching on in America. Nobody wants that, And I mean, it doesn't. I'm talking about the vibe. I'm not talking about the actual verbiage used, but you just get the vibe that people don't want that, which is probably somewhat the truth. And I was on Twitter, and I think there's like a silent majority. I hate to sound like the old school conservatives of the 70s and 60s, but this is true. I'm not a conservative, by the way, but there's like a silent majority of people that, they might have had the shot. They want to get back to normal. They don't want to have more lockdowns. They don't want to wear a mask, but they've had the shot. They followed some of the guidelines, if not all. There's some people that didn't see people until they had the shot. I know some people like that. There's some people that were some of what the government did and stuff, but they still saw people without masks and stuff, and some people like that, you can call them hypocrites, whatever. There's a whole range, there's a whole spectrum of people that did what they did in regards to this whole crisis. I happen to be somewhat, believe it or not, I thought about the other day, I think I'm somewhat in the middle, because it's not like I avoided places that, or people, but I still hung out around people, make no mistake, but I think it was, and I'm talking about my actions, I'm not talking about my thoughts of my actions. My whole thing with going to a restaurant last year was, I don't want to deal with the hassle of having to do all that stuff. I hate all that stuff. I just want to walk in there and fucking eat at the restaurant. Same with, just going out for coffee and stuff. When it was more like, oh, you have to wear a mask when you do this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just thought it was a hassle and a pain in the ass. So once things opened up completely, I'm just like, holy shit, let's just go everywhere, And maybe that makes me, in action, a person that seems more moderate or centrist in regards to the virus stuff. But I don't know, because some people were just like, oh, just go free for all, go everywhere. I just, I did wear the mask, so, and I'm not going to again. I said March of this year, but, now, like, I'm not going to, if people are telling me to wear it, I'm not going to wear it ever again. I'll just join the, if I'm shamed as like a Trump supporting anti-masker person, then so be it. I just don't care anymore. I had your fucking shot, I did what you told me to do for a year and a half to some extent. Maybe not to the extent of some people, but not the opposite, like some people even that I know refuse to do things. And I totally respect that, You can call me more cowardly, more concerned, I was concerned with rates and stuff to some extent. I wasn't being, technically obese, but not to the extent maybe that was super high risk, but getting sort of near the age that is the cutoff point. Not quite there, but, sort of near that, that I had to weigh my risks, but if I would have, had more dates and stuff, I probably would have gone to more restaurants last year. But nevertheless, I'm not going to try to gauge how I am on that scale, because that's just up to me to live my own life, and people can live their life. That's what bothers me, is that nobody wants people to have any responsibility in this. They want people to do this or that and follow this or that. That's my whole problem. I assess my own risk in my own life, my own health, because I'm an adult. So, well, sort of. But, it bothers me. So, the whole thing with this wanting to read people's text messages and stuff, or whatever they're planning on doing. Now, it may or may not happen. I've noticed that there's a lot from this Biden administration where and this is the thing, they'll talk about something, right? They'll say, well, we need to do this. Leaks out. People panic, the right-wing media, and even the left-wing media. This is Breaking Points, which is pretty much a populist left show that was talking about this, Crystal and Sagar. People freak out. They will discuss it and bash it and say, oh my God, they've gone insane. They've gone too far this time, tried out all the conspiracy theories and stuff. And then it's a non-starter. Never happens. Just like Osterholm early in the year talking about or before Biden, was it after Biden got elected? Or I can't remember, about talking about a 90-day lockdown, all this crazy shit, right? Never happens. Where nationwide mask mandate, for 90 days and all this crazy stuff. We've heard all this stuff before. So with this particular administration, we hear of these things, or impending doom with the variants and all this stuff. We hear all this stuff all the time, from these people. And what happens? Next to fucking nothing. So I'm not going to say that I'd be surprised if any of this stuff happens, but I'd also say in the opposite direction, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. Because it seems like that's their modus operandi. So they'll scare people with these ideas, into, taking the Action Jackson or whatever. And then nothing, it's a non-starter, never happens. It's like, do I prefer that to what's happening in Chile right now? Absolutely. It's still ridiculous, but yeah, and if it never happens, there might be some governments that are like, DeSantis might come out and say, we will not spy on your cell phone thing for misinformation or whatever, and then, so, I mean, I think, and then it will never happen. Maybe in New York City, the T-Mobile will team with the government of New York, the health department, to weed out misinformation about the virus and stuff on text messages. Maybe, one little borough or something will experiment with it, and then people get scared, and then they'll withdraw again. We got to just keep pushing back on this stuff. And it sounds kind of weird coming from me, who actually went, and got the shot. But there's a lot of reasons why I did it. One reason was I was scared because of my job, and now it's going to be remote anyways for the most part. So it's like, that was stupid to do it out of fear of that. But there's various reasons. But I mean, it's part of life. It's an endemic, this whole thing. And I don't think that there's going to be a point where we can say, like, oh my God, it's no longer a threat, blah, blah, blah. It's going to exist, and a certain amount of people are not going to take the shot. And that's just going to be like the flu, eventually. The Atlantic has said that too. It's going to be eventually, it's going to diminish in its severity as it evolves, hopefully. I mean, it could go the opposite way too. It doesn't usually do that after a certain amount of time, but it could. Martin Armstrong fans are looking forward to that, but whatever. Fuck that guy. Yeah, I don't think I support the idea of any of this stuff. This government surveillance, it's basically government surveillance, government censorship. Government censorship is happening right now, and that's the problem. So, it's the cat, dog, cat, puts these guidelines that these tech companies follow, and then they censor people. That's government censorship. It might be a little bit extended compared to, directly, the cat, dog, cat, like censoring people directly, like actually hacking into YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But that's government censorship, no matter what. It's just like, it's ridiculous and wrong. So, and if this happens, there'll be an outcry, of course, a public outcry. There already is. They're already jumping on it. These left and right wing outlets. It's like, and that's why I think it might just be a tease. Like it might be a false alarm, or what's the other word for that? They're just trying to test the waters, test to see how people respond. Like, oh, they can already fucking look at your phone records and all your stuff anyways. It's not, but this is like directly teaming up with providers or something. I don't think it's going to happen, okay? Let's just be honest. They've done stuff like this before where they threaten something and they pull it back, or they do something half-assed or something like that. But I don't think it's going to happen. It could very well happen. It could be doing this, but it's almost like they throw out the most extreme things to scare people into getting the shot, or just to like be this, just like maybe distract people. Sometimes that's happened too. They've done these things before. It's not a psyop, but it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain like what my theory of this, what they're doing with this. I think they want to kind of, it's like they throw out a bunch of stuff and see how people respond to it. Basically, it's like test marketing, right? So what are people going to put up with? Are people going to put up with the government reading your text messages and sending your friends things that say, or putting something under your text message that you send, this is misinformation. Are people going to put up with that? I mean, I remember when Trump sent that text to everybody in America, and it was like this loud ass ring and stuff. I was like, this is so ridiculous. I laughed because it's Trump. I mean, it's just ridiculous, but it's like, I mean, it's so ridiculous. So I hope this doesn't happen. As I did this video, like when I first started this video, to be honest with you, I was out. I was uproariously mad, and then I started thinking. This is like my thoughts in action. This video, where I thought, "Hey, I'm going to do this video about this whole thing." Wait a second, this bullshit. They're not going to do that. I mean, they could. Okay, I could be proven wrong. But I think they just throw that shit out there just to scare people, like, or steer them in this direction. Sometimes it's just like, but it's like test marketing. It's like, how far can we go? Okay, let's talk about the passports thing. Oh shit, there's a huge outcry even from some people on the left. Oh, okay, I guess we can't do that. We'll have, certain areas can do that. Oh, let's talk about this. Oh, it's like test marketing. They're, doing different things. Oh, how can we do this? How can we do that? So the American people have proved pretty resilient as far as this goes. We put up with a year and a half of fucking bullshit, right? All these lockdowns and all this fucking bullshit, right? In my personal opinion, a lot of it was bullshit. I'm not saying everything, every guideline, every mandate was bullshit or bad. I'm just saying, as a whole, how it was dealt with and how it was treated and how people treated it was bullshit, we put up with all this thing of not seeing friends and family. Like I said in previous videos, I was an asshole. I hung out with a group of 3 or 4 friends, and even saw other friends once in a while too, and hung out with my some of my family as well. So at this point, like I followed through on my own values that I believe. I didn't believe in quarantine. Okay, just being honest. I didn't think, like, I thought, maybe take a look at the case rates in the county or whatever. Like, if it got really bad, like a bunch of people were getting infected that I knew or something. But, and not to mention that I thought I already had it. And I'm leaning towards that theory again. I was kind of going back and forth about it, but now I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I might have had it in January of 2020. So, right when I was going through my crisis of my ex-girlfriend. It's like, it's weird, but yeah, I don't think this is I don't think that they're gonna go this far. This is not Chile, this is not, or some other bad country. This is not England. I mean, England is a fucking dystopian nightmare. And that's been for years. Because they have cameras everywhere. You watch all these science fiction shows on BBC and stuff, like these BBC-made science fiction shows. Half of the show is about how they film stuff on camera and they have to solve it because there's camera footage, because there's cameras everywhere. Electric Eye was right, Rob Halford was predicting the future of England, I mean, that's kind of how it goes with this stuff. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna fucking. I don't believe, especially since this is brand new today. Like, you're gonna hear about this. Like, there's gonna be articles. Okay, for the next week, I'm just predicting. The next week, we're gonna hear about this whole plan to censor people's cell phone text messages, and there's gonna be this huge uproar. And Biden's probably doing something else that they wanted to distract. Some kind of policy or economic. Maybe he just wanted to. Who the fuck knows with these people? And this is almost like it's like, I'm not saying it's like a conspiracy theory. It's like, it's more like the less nefarious, like the more ridiculous stuff sometimes is more conspiratorial than the more nefarious stuff in a way. It's like just throwing that shit out there. Oh, let's see, test market it and like distract people from something else or do something else, or they're doing something else, maybe some war they're ramping up to do or some shit. I don't know. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe there's some maybe it's polls are going down amongst the base or something, like, oh, Biden's not doing enough about the virus. Oh, well, what about this? Or the Trump supporters are gaining more momentum. We have to, who knows? This could be politically motivated, of course. Like people, who's going to be, okay, let's ask this question. Who's going to be targeted more? Biden supporters or Trump supporters? Obviously with this proposed policy, or it's not legislation. It's going to be Trump supporters, because they're the ones spreading the really crazy stuff a lot of the time. Not all of them, though. There's a lot of people on the left, or a lot of people that are, but this is bad, right? This is bad optics for Biden too, because I was just celebrating him in an earlier video, like, oh my God, no restrictions, he's doing way better than, he's doing the same as Trump did. He's leaving people alone. Well, this is not leaving people alone. This is not good. So I'm going to try to time this out so I post that other video and then this video. But yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. This is a fresh story. I don't think I've ever been this early to a story since in a couple of years. I think there was one time I had 500 views in a couple of days for one video because I saw the news right away. But this is brand new pretty much today, where they're talking about this. So I don't support censorship in any form. It only makes conspiracy theories worse. It only makes distrust of the shot worse. It only makes them look bad. So it's a stupid move. If they're testing something out with this, testing this idea, because there's a lot of people on that advisory board for the Travanka bug for Biden, including Ezekiel Emanuel, who is one of the worst. There's a lot of bad people on that board. There's probably some more moderates on that, too, and that's probably who's winning out as far as what's going on. But there's a few people that talked about 18-month lockdowns, all this crazy shit. They were talking about that. Ezekiel Emanuel is we got a lockdown for 18 months. Oh my God. I don't know what his deal is. He's a fucking weird dude. Read his blogs. I only want to live till 75. It's just, he's really bizarre. It's kind of scary. Talking about these Alex Jones talking about these elite, or David Icke talking about these elites and stuff being really weird guys, and people. That guy seems read his blogs. He seems like a fucking weirdo. But anyways, that's about all.